Close your eyes and try to remember the smell of a 1930s kitchen. It wasn't the smell of a roast or a fresh-baked pie. It was the smell of cold iron, scorched flour, and a quiet, desperate prayer. While the history books talk about the stock market crash, they never tell you about the sandwich wars fought at every kitchen table, where a mother's only weapon was 2 stale slices of bread and a miracle of imagination. These 15 sandwiches were the silent heroes of the Great Hunger, and they've been hidden in the shadows of our past for nearly a century. I'm revealing these tonight because these aren't just meals. They are a survival code written in starch and salt. Some of these are so strange they've been completely erased from modern memory, and others were so dangerous to the status quo that the government tried to replace them with laboratory-made rations. You need to stay with me until the very end, because the final sandwich on our list was so controversial it was actually banned in several public schools during the crash, and it might just be the most resourceful thing you've ever seen. Number 15. The lard and pepper slab. This was the foundation of the Depression lunchbox. You'd take a thick layer of cold, rendered pork fat, lard, and smear it between 2 pieces of dry bread, topped with a heavy dusting of black pepper to mask the greasiness. The remarkable thing is that this wasn't seen as a tragedy. It was a high-calorie fuel that gave a man enough energy to swing a sledgehammer for 12 hours. Number 14. The vinegar and sugar soak. When there was no fruit or jam, grandmothers used chemistry to trick the senses. They would lightly soak bread in white vinegar and sprinkle it with a precious pinch of sugar, creating a tart, sweet filling that tasted shockingly like a green apple pie. It's a bit of kitchen magic that proves you can conjure a dessert out of thin air if you have the grit to try. Number 13. The stale crust soup sandwich. This wasn't even a sandwich in the traditional sense. You take the hardest, oldest crusts and dip them into a bowl of hot salted water until they were soft enough to chew, then stack them together. A fascinating detail about this meal is that it was often the only way seniors with missing teeth could actually eat bread during the winter months. It's a humble reminder of a time when toughness wasn't just a personality trait. It was a requirement for lunch. Number 12. The backyard dandelion wrap. Foraged greens were the only free vitamin source left. People would take the bitter leaves of dandelions, crush them with a little salt to draw out the juice, and press them between bread. What's truly wild is that these weeds actually contain more iron and minerals than the expensive lettuce sold in the city stores, making this the healthiest poor man's meal on the block. Number 11. The mustard and onion burner. This was a sharp, aggressive sandwich made of thick slices of raw white onion and a heavy smear of yellow mustard. The good thing about this combination is that the heat from the onion and mustard would actually clear your sinuses and make your body feel warm, even in a drafty shantytown shack. It was the original medicine for the common cold when a doctor was a luxury no one could afford. Number 10. The leftover potato skin sandwich. Nothing was ever peeled and thrown away. Families would fry the dirty skins of potatoes in a tiny bit of grease until they were crispy and stack them like bacon between bread. The surprising truth is that the skins hold the majority of a potato's nutrients, meaning the children who ate the scraps often grew up stronger than the ones who only ate the white starch. Number 9. The syrup and salt slice. If you were lucky enough to have a bottle of molasses or corn syrup, you'd drizzle it over bread and add a heavy pinch of coarse salt. The interesting thing here is that this created a salted caramel flavor decades before it became a trendy luxury in modern coffee shops. It was a rare moment of sweetness that helped a child forget, just for a moment, that the world was falling apart. Number 8. The potted meat mystery. This used the absolute lowest cost canned meats, the scraps of the scraps, mixed with a little flour to make it go further. Many seniors remember this as having a metallic, salty tang that you can still taste in your dreams 70 years later. It was the first time industrial food waste was marketed to the poor as a convenience meal, though the people eating it knew exactly what it was: survival. Number 7. The hot water gravy sandwich. When the meat was gone, you'd make a gravy out of flour, water, and black pepper, then pour it over a single slice of bread. You'd place another slice on top to soak up the liquid. The clever part about this is that it made a tiny bit of flour feel like a heavy, warm feast that sat in your stomach for hours, keeping the hunger pangs at bay until the next morning. Number 6. The peanut butter and pickle oddity. This was a government-suggested recipe that actually became a cult classic. The creamy fat of the peanut butter balanced with the acidic crunch of a cheap pickle. The amazing thing about this sandwich is that it provided the perfect balance of electrolytes and protein, making it the power bar of the 1930s. It's a flavor combination that sounds illegal until you actually take that first bite. Number 5. The fried flour flapjack sandwich. People would make a thick paste of flour and water, fry it in a pan like a dense pancake, and then use that as the filling between two pieces of regular bread. The shocking thing is that this was essentially a bread sandwich,
Behold,
providing a double dose
mash,
of carbohydrates to keep a
colorful
person's blood
and
sugar
much more
high enough to
affordable
keep working.
poor man's
It was the
avocado.
ultimate weapon against the crushing fatigue of the bread lines. Number 4. The canned pea mash. You'd take the cheapest, mushiest canned peas, drain the liquid, and mash them into a thick green paste with a bit of salt. The interesting thing about this is that it provided a creamy texture that mimicked expensive avocado or egg salad for a fraction of a penny. It was a way to bring a bit of color and soft texture to a diet that was otherwise gray and hard. Number 3. The fried bologna, the poor man's steak. Bologna was the only meat many families saw for years. They would fry it until it curled into a cup and charred at the edges, then slap it on white bread with whatever condiment was left in the jar. The shocking reality is that this sandwich became so iconic that it moved from the shanty towns to the diners, becoming a permanent part of the American culinary identity. Number 2. The milk toast sandwich. This was a gentle, fragile meal made by dipping bread in warm, watered-down milk and stacking it. The good thing about milk toast was that it was often used as a recovery meal for those who were too sick or too malnourished to handle solid food. It was a soft, white cloud of a sandwich that felt like a hug from a grandmother who had nothing else to give. Number 1. The illegal bird sandwich. In the deepest parts of the city, people would catch city birds, pigeons, and roast them in secret to make small, high-protein sandwiches. The dangerous thing about this was that it was technically illegal in many municipalities to harvest city wildlife, yet it was the only source of fresh meat for thousands of families. It was a desperate, dark act of survival that America has tried to forget, but the bones of those meals are still buried in our history. These 15 sandwiches tell a story that isn't in the history books. They tell a story of mothers who refused to let their children go to bed crying, and fathers who worked for pennies with nothing but a raw onion between two pieces of bread to keep them standing. They remind us that the American spirit isn't built on what we have. It's built on what we do when we have nothing. If you remember a poor man's sandwich from your childhood, maybe something your family only ate when times were tough, please share it in the comments. We are documenting the real history of America here, one memory at a time. Thank you for watching Lost American Memories. Hit that subscribe button to join our community. And until next time, keep your head up, stay independent, and never forget the strength of the humble kitchen.